Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you another of my classic film reviews. Today's classic film review is for the 1999 comedy film Life, a film that is directed by Ted Demi and it stars Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. Now this film is set initially in the 1930s. Eddie Murphy plays a bit of a pickpocket, a bit of a low-level criminal. Martin Lawrence is a guy who, he's just got a job in a bank and they're at the same nightclub together, Spanky Club, and they basically both end up at the wrong side of the owner of the club. So they have to do a job for Spanky, basically, which is to do some bootlegging. So they have to go all the way down to Mississippi to collect a load of booze together. They don't really get on, they don't like each other, it all goes terribly wrong, there's a murder, and they get blamed for that murder and sent to prison for life. And we then follow these two guys in prison, Ray and Claude, getting up to all sorts of misadventures, trying to escape, trying to make the best of things, but they genuinely end up in prison for a long time, and we get to watch them grow old inside in prison. Right, my thoughts on Life. Well, frankly, this is arguably my favourite Eddie Murphy film. I've stood by that for a long time. I think this is one of those Eddie Murphy films that people dismiss, and it came out at a time in Eddie Murphy's career where it was arguably one of his lowest points. Even though I think Bowfinger came out the same year as this, and that got more attention than this film from what I remember, and that's a good film too. But I was just blown away by this film. I think it's a remarkable film because it's full of so much heart and emotion, but it's just side-achingly funny as well. To watch these two great comedy actors. I mean, Eddie Murphy, is legendary. I mean, he was legendary at the time, and Martin Lawrence, I do remember seeing interviews at the time when this came out, being, just overjoyed to be working with Eddie Murphy because he was a big hero of his, and you can understand that. But the chemistry between these two was just remarkable. It was really good. They were both equally as entertaining and funny in this film. I genuinely, I really mean that. And they both carried this film really well. I mean, it's Eddie Murphy, who you would argue is the big star at the time. But Martin Lawrence was really, he was heading down that road after the Bad Boys films and things like that. And I'm not sure if he'd done Big Mama's House, which I'm not a big fan of those films, to be honest. But great on-screen chemistry between these two, and you could tell this film is genuine because there are many scenes in this film where they crack each other up and they leave it on camera. I mean, there's two or three that spring to mind immediately for me, where they stood on the bottles and Martin Lawrence toe goes in the bottle, and you could see Eddie Murphy crack up, and the one where they've grown old and he threatens to throw his pissy sheets on Martin Lawrence, and you can see Martin Lawrence crack up. I mean, and those were genuine crack ups that they did to each other on screen, and that's what makes this film genuinely funny. To watch these guys in prison, quite a brutal prison, at times, but to build these friendships and relationships and go through everything that they go through while they are in prison. It's warming, it's really heartwarming, and it's genuinely achingly funny. It's very funny film, and I don't think enough people have given this film a chance. I was super impressed with it when it first came out. I've enjoyed watching it consistently since. I don't have it on Blu-ray because it's quite pricey. I'm waiting for the right deal for it to get it on Blu-ray. I don't think it's ever been released in the UK. But you can get it on region free, but I think it's between £20 and £30 in UK money, which I think is quite pricey. But when I see the right deal, I will be adding this to my collection. I've just watched this a couple of nights ago on Netflix because it's on Netflix now. I loved it. I just loved it. I just think it's great. This film is great from like minute one till the end, but when they start getting older, about maybe just after halfway, 3/4 of the way through, something like that, when they're getting into like the 60s and stuff. It just goes to another level because the makeup's really good, and we know how good Eddie Murphy is in makeup, and this was, you know, a chance for Martin Lawrence to shine, and they both, as cantankerous old guys, just steal the show. And the stuff they, you know, when they end up getting moved to the superintendent's house, as like, you know, to help him there, it was Ned Beatty, who was the superintendent at the time. Some of the stuff there, the comedy, is comedy gold. The arguments they get into and the discussions. And then when they get into like the 90s and some of the stuff they talk about there, again the makeup is extraordinary. I mean, it's just magnificent, the makeup. But what carries it is the performances by Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. You believe them as these old guys, and you just kept thinking, I would just like to see another film with these guys as these old dudes. You know, you could have easily filled a film with just the interaction between them from like the 60s onwards. It's just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, and also it's one of those films that you can't help but feel really sorry for them, because ultimately they're innocent. Which is not a spoiler, you know that from watching the film if you've never seen it. They are innocent and they're in jail when they haven't actually done anything, so you want them to get out. And they just can't seem to get anything right while they're in there. And it's one of those films, you know, when you watch it at the beginning and you know what's coming, you're thinking, well, I don't want it to happen because I don't want them to go to jail. But of course it's going to happen because that's what happens in the film. So you really do feel for these characters because they don't deserve to be in prison, but thankfully they went to prison and they gave us a really funny and entertaining film. And I genuinely think this is easily one of Eddie Murphy's strongest films. I think if it had come out in his prime, this 10 years earlier, I think he would have had an absolute smash hit on his hands. But either way, I think it's a film that has easily stood the test of time. It's a 7 out of sorry, did I say 7? I meant 9 out of 10. I don't know where I got 7 from. Just a brilliant film, and it's a film I really still enjoy today. And if you haven't seen Life, definitely check it out, because you will find out that you've got one of Eddie Murphy's gems on your hands. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you liked the review. I will be back obviously with more content on Screen Stars very soon.